Hey, what's up again, everybody? This is probably my third or fourth video. I think my third for today. I know I'm like banging out a lot of videos today and stuff, and I really hope you guys are watching them. It's just, my Easter's been kind of slow. It's good and everything. It's just, you get bored, and I had a bunch of free time, and I figured I would do, a few video responses and, a little bit of a showcase on some more of my collection. This video right here is going to be a video response from my very close friend on here, WinterKing1967. Him and I, we chat basically back and forth every day and comment on each other's videos and things like that, and I'm just really grateful for meeting him on here, and he's just become really a wonderful friend to me and a really great person in the movie community, and he's real knowledgeable and everything. So I respect his opinions and all that. So yeah, he did a two-parter the other day, and it was basically like a stroll down memory lane, more or less. Like, he was speaking on some different movies that he's seen throughout the years, and kind of like where he was in his life at that time, and different interactions with people when he saw these movies and what he remembers about it. So I chose about 14 or 15 movies. I know it seems a lot, and I know I can go over the 15 minutes. I'm going to try not to, but yeah, I'm just going to talk briefly about each one. So the first one up, this is Charlton Heston and the Omega Man. This is the Blu-ray. Basically, I had first seen this when I was really young, and actually my grandfather had a copy of this on beta. And at the time, he lived with us, with my family. We have like an extra apartment kind of add-on thing in our house, and it's more of like a dormer kind of thing, whatever they call it. But yeah, so he had beta, and that was sort of starting to phase out back then. But he showed me this movie, and he said, it was based on a book and everything. And I knew some things that Charlton Heston was in already. And this movie just totally blew me away. I mean, in my opinion today, I like it better than I Am Legend, and I know people are probably going to be not thrilled hearing that, but I mean, I think this is way better. But yeah, so, he was, I came home from work one night, and, I used to hang out with him a lot, in the apartment and everything with my grandparents, and we would just sit and talk for hours and stuff, and about a lot of things, movies mostly, and what I was up to in school and all that. And he put this on, and I just instantly fell in love with it. So the next one here, this Shadow, my cat. This is RoboCop. This was one of the first action movies that I'd ever seen. This came out in about 1987. I was born in 1981, so I must have been about 6 or so. I think I probably seen it a year or two after it came out. And we had this local mom and pop video store called Cinemaplex. And I don't know if any of you out there had one like that. It might have just been independently owned. And yeah, so my brother had first gotten a VCR, or he had it for a little bit. And then you would go into this place, and each box would have a certain set of numbers on it, and you had this little pad thing, and almost like a golf pencil looking thing, really small. And you would jot down whatever numbers the videos were, and then you bring it up to the counter, and then sometimes if it was rated R or whatever, you'd have to show ID. And this was one of them that my brother got. And then the guy was kind of asking, well, why do you want to see that? Because I think I was talking to my brother when we got up online, and then the guy really wasn't wanting to rent it to us at the time because it was real strict. And I mean, my brother was 15 years older than me, so I don't really see the big deal. But yeah, I mean, this holds up awesome, and this is the unrated on Blu-ray. Next up is Child's Play with Chris Sarandon and Catherine Hicks. Everybody knows Child's Play. And I had seen this through my sister. I was maybe around 10. And, I had a My Buddy doll actually at the time. And she's like, there was a movie that was relating to that sort of doll. And I was like, no, are you kidding? And then she showed it to me, and I was kind of, afraid watching it, because it was creepy to kill a doll and stuff. But yeah, so that's Child's Play. This one is Blair Witch Project. I'd seen this with my best friend Joe back when we were in high school. I think this came out around 98, 99, and there was so much hype on it. They were saying like, oh, the events that it was based on were actually, you know, in fact true, and that's not the case, because there was something like a behind-the-scenes documentary that I seen on this, maybe a year or so after we actually seen it in the movies, but I didn't believe it, you know, back then or anything. But this was cool. Blair Witch 2 was also a really good one. It has really nothing to do with this, though. Here's an old school one, Mighty Joe Young. This was another favorite of my grandfather, not the first grandfather that I talked about, my other one. You know, he lived in the city about 2 hours away from us, and when I would go over there and everything, and like he would, you know, set aside some movies, and we would play board games, and, you know, eat lunch together and just hang out and stuff. And I'd seen Mighty Joe Young for the very first time through him. I had already seen King Kong, and then he was telling me, you know, this one, Mighty Joe Young, is kind of similar in some ways. So yeah, we checked that out, and I was little, and that stuck with me. Here's this, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, this, the 2-disc steelbook. But yeah, this movie was always like so taboo, like in my family, because my parents knew I was into horror and stuff, but not really like hardcore into it, and they like forbid me to see this because they said it was like so violent, and, you know, it would mess your mind up if you watched it and everything. And I actually ended up seeing it for the first time, I believe, when I was in middle school at a friend's house, and his room was in the basement of the house, and you know, we ended up renting it at a video store that was only a few blocks away from where he lived, and that's soon since closed down too. But yeah, I mean, you know, like a lot of they say like some of the scenes, like when the girl like gets on the meat hook and stuff, like you see it going through and everything. No, you don't. You know, I mean, it's rated R. That's it. But yeah, so Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Here's the special edition of John Carpenter's The Fog. I had watched this one with my father. It was sort of a long story. Like, my father was injured on the job, and my father was involved in you know, like manufacturing of medications and things like that. Like, I don't know how you would describe it. Like, he would be in charge of like the batches, you know, like to mix the ingredients and things, and he got sick from inhaling some certain chemical, like some kind of gas that something released off, and he was out of work for a few weeks, and he was on like a respirator and the whole thing. And you know, so all we would kind of do, you know, when I was little, was like a lot of times sit around and watch movies, and this was one of them that he showed me, and he said, you know, it was about ghosts and things like that, and I was interested in seeing it, and I wasn't too familiar with who John Carpenter was, and after that, that really got me into stuff that he directed. Here's Stephen King's Children of the Corn. This has Linda Hamilton in it. This is the original Anchor Bay with the big booklet in there. And I saw this through a cousin of mine at the time. He was visiting from Georgia, and yeah, so, you know, it was just, he had a lot of different stuff on VHS, and he had like this whole big backpack full of movies, like a lot of thriller stuff, sci-fi, horror, action, and it was one of those that we seen, and that definitely stuck with me. I mentioned this one in a previous video, Poltergeist, you know, Tobe Hooper, Steven Spielberg, and my mother was so afraid of this movie because, you know, my parents are on the religious side, pretty much, and, you know, she was always like talking about, oh, television will rot your mind, and it's not good to watch it for that long, and whatever, you know. My parents are elderly. My mom is 66 and my dad's 74, so, you know, I mean, old school ways of thinking and everything. A couple more here. Here's Leprechaun, Warwick Davis, Jennifer Aniston. This is probably one of the only Jennifer Aniston movies that I enjoy. Yeah, so it's weird. Like, I used to like the Lucky Charms cereal and stuff when I was younger, and I think it was either my brother or a friend of mine at the time drew my attention to that, and he's like, there's a movie about a killer leprechaun out there, and I'm like, what? That's not true. And then I was finally able to see it, you know, sometime down the road, and I liked it, and it really creeped me out too. Here's this is the Divimax edition of George A. Romero's Dawn of the Dead. This is my all-time favorite horror movie, like hands down to me, like nothing can touch this. But yeah, so I found out about this one on my own because I had already previously seen Night of the Living Dead, and I didn't know anything about Day of the Dead or anything back then, so I actually followed up with Dawn of the Dead, and I rented it at a local video store. I think it was Hollywood Video. That's long since closed down too, but that was sort of a big chain like Blockbuster. But yeah, so I'd seen the theatrical version of that, and I couldn't stop watching it. Same thing like this one too, Friday the 13th. This is the original, of course, and you know, it was just creepy about the whole thing, like Camp Crystal Lake. And I found out about this when I went to a summer camp called Brookhaven Day Camp, and you know, some of the kids back then were talking about it. I was probably in like 5th or 6th grade, and you know, you went away like over the summer for 8 weeks, and you know, somehow someone, whatever, I don't know, we were able to watch this during camp or something. I don't remember the full details. It was so many years ago, but yeah, I do remember watching it actually at a summer camp that was like something like a Camp Crystal Lake kind of thing. Here's Night of the Living Dead 1990. This was rented from, we had like a supermarket in my area called Pathmark, and way back like in the late 80s, early 90s, they used to rent movies like right in the supermarket. There was a little bit of like an electronics thing, and they rented some like old school like VHS out, and that's how I saw this. You know, just shopping around with my family, and the cover caught my attention. I had seen Night of the Living Dead, you know, 1968, but then I said, well, what is this, you know? And that was a cool one. Just two more here. This is Critters, sort of like a sci-fi kind of rip-off of Gremlins and things like that. I would have showed Gremlins, but I actually don't have it on DVD. I didn't want to break out the VHS or anything. But yeah, this one was awesome. This is like one of my favorite type of like sci-fi creature features, and I had seen this. It was on HBO so many years ago. Like, I think we had maybe first gotten HBO or had it for just 6 months or so, and this came on, and this movie was a big reason why I even got into a lot of the sci-fi stuff. And then finally, Wes Craven's Nightmare on Elm Street, the original. This is the remastered one on just plain DVD snapper case, but yeah, this is one of my all-time favorite movies too. I had seen this through a babysitter that we had. Like, my parents had gone into the city overnight to see a play. I think it was Phantom of the Opera or something like that. I'm talking years and years ago, somewhere in Manhattan. And we had a babysitter, and you know, she took care of me overnight until the morning and everything. And her boyfriend came over, and he had a couple movies that he had rented, and this was one of them. And I was allowed to stay up and watch it if I was behaved and stuff. So yeah, I ended up checking that out, and scared the crap out of me, and I couldn't sleep. And I think my parents had to actually come home early from, you know, being out and stuff. Like, not really like super early, but just maybe like a couple hours early. I had to get like a you know, train in sooner, you know, to come get me, whatever, and see what the hell was going on. But yeah, so I think there's about 15 movies here. Just got them in 2 piles, whatever. But yeah, so that's my little trip down memory lane. You know, I'm sorry some of the memories really weren't like as vivid as I originally remembered. I just kind of pulled them out and talked about them. But yeah, big thanks to WinterKing1967 for, you know, doing this video, because it really sparked my interest, and I wanted to do a response. So yeah, here you go, dude. I hope you like it. And I guess that should be it for me today. I think there's about 3 videos, so bear with me. But alright, thanks a lot for watching. Take care. Thanks.